Gents, let's move on to the cricket, Rob. Another frustrating game to watch, or certainly was for me. Went down to the wire once again. Some real basic fielding errors. Again, the middle to late order batsmen not really coming to the party.
Yeah, it was, 4-1 was quite a galling result for us, really. I think quite a few of us kind of fancied South Africa's chances going into this series, believing that having knocked them over, psychologically had the advantage of winning that triangular in Zimbabwe, admittedly under conditions that we always knew were going to be a lot different. We still thought that the strength of South Africa's seam attack, or supposed strength anyway, would still play a part in Australia, and that we might run them a lot closer or even beat them. But instead we lost 4-1, which is a complete reversal of the last time we played, interestingly, a full series against them. It's a long time back, 2008-09, where we beat them 4-1 at the end of that momentous test series. So this was a complete reversal, 4-1 to Australia, so much to think about with not much time left, unfortunately. The trouble with the Proteas is that they sort of, when one thing starts to come right, the other unravels. They never seem to find that perfect balance. In Sunday's game, the key for me was that I thought the batting, by and large, came a bit right towards the end. At last, we actually produced some sort of intensity, some aggression in the sort of death stage of our innings to get up to 280, which certainly the commentators believed was going to be a competitive score. Farhan Behardine, I thought, registered a late, rather necessary sort of mark, tick against his name if it is, comes down to World Cup selection. Let's not forget that even though he had a few failures, his bowling, his little medium paces did provide a nice little element of sort of variety and change up. So he's not out of the picture for the World Cup. But we still actually ended up perhaps 20 runs short. On the principle of double your score at 30 overs, we should have got to 300 on that basis, and that might have made all the difference to winning the game. And then the bowling, unfortunately, again, until the last few overs, when ironically Australia nearly choked, the bowling again sort of fell to pieces. Australia were cruising with sort of 5 to 10 overs left. They were absolutely cruising, and it was going to be almost an embarrassingly easy victory. Okay, we did manage to pull it back, and Robin Peterson is another one who produced a bit of a late show to create a few little sort of World Cup dilemmas. But in the end, we were beaten, and for those last 10 overs, it did look as though we were going to be soundly beaten. So there's a lot of head scratching to do, and South Africa come back sort of very much, you just sense they're not a finished article. There's a lot still to be sort of strategized, and just from a team composition point of view, all sorts of headaches to deal with before we head off to the World Cup.
Yeah, of course, a lot of those sort of small errors and things can be tweaked. But in terms of the makeup of our bowling attack, or do you agree with the kind of spin-pace ratio we have, and what changes would you make?
Yeah, look, it's very difficult to get all those all-rounders, all those batsmen, all those bowlers into only 11 players. It's something that cricket is unique to cricket, that you've got to try and fit all these puzzle pieces together. Russell Domingo, the coach, talked about there's a lot to work on, but it's clearly going to be in practice rather than match conditions, because we don't really play many more between now and the World Cup, and certainly not in Australian conditions. So we pretty much got to go with what we've got. I think with Steyn, Morkel, Philander, we've got those three, the first three names down in the bowling attack. We're going to have to pick a spinner. We'll be hoping that JP Duhamany's back, so he can provide a little bit of cover. As Rob said, Behardin's done well on the bowling front. I've been quite impressed by the sort of all-rounder aspect to his game. He came right with the bat, which is another feather to his bow, because he was sort of scoring at a runner ball, which is just not good enough in those middle to end overs in ODIs. Tahir's obviously an option as well. Robin Peterson, that now I clearly fancy him as a little bit of a death bowler. He bowled the second last over on Friday and was going to go bowl the last over on Sunday. So I'm not sure if that's something they've seen in his game. I'm not the biggest Robin Peterson fan, but hats off to him. He has done more than can be expected from him, having been thrown in at sort of the deep end after Tahir picked up an injury. So it's going to be interesting how they sort of mix that, and then you've got Ryan McLaren and Wayne Parnell, who are much of a muchness to me, both struggling to hit the ball off the square, both bowling fairly similar sort of speeds, variations as well. Parnell perhaps maybe with his left arm option gives them something slightly different. Commentators quickly picking up on the fact that McLaren is sort of a bunny for Australia at the moment. They're not struggling to hit him all over the park. So he sort of looks like he's lost a little bit of confidence as well. So Parnell maybe gets the nod there. We've got David Miller is just not scoring as quickly as we sort of expect him to score. He's a great fielder, doesn't bowl. Is he a bit of a luxury? Do we need him? Ironically, like Rob said, this on Sunday our batting actually looked pretty good, and we were without old AB de Villiers. So it sort of gives you some hope that should he be back, he's scoring runs freely. He'll add to the attack. But then it's Quinton de Kock. He's not going to score a century every game either. So then that slips down as well. So it's not to say that if AB came back we would have got 300. Not at all. So Australia will take massive confidence out of this match. We talked a lot about that we went in as number one team in the world. They knocked us over at home. They're going to draw massive confidence from that heading into the World Cup on their own conditions. They've got a series now against India. Again, ideal preparation for them. They could well be the favourites now heading into the World Cup. We'd hate to see South Africa choke again. That's the whole C word's been bandied about many times at World Cup time for South African cricket. We now slipped to third in the world, thanks to India rolling over Sri Lanka. So India, also finding some form as well. So lots to work on, but I'm just not sure where they're going to work on this on these little pointers that you mentioned.